Hello again. It's November, so that means it's still National Novel Generation Month, and I'm going to show you how to generate a novel. I made a video already where I generated a novel with iteration and repetition, and it's just the same word forever, and it has punctuation, so it kind of looks like a novel, so technically it's a novel, but I'm going to do something a little bit more interesting, or at least the variety. It'll be at least a bit more varied. I don't know if it'll be good, but we'll find out. So I'm going to use something today called Markov chains to generate a novel based on two source texts. So I'm going to take those source texts and then transform them into something that sounds kind of like it was written by a hybrid author that is both of those original authors at once. So a Markov chain is a commonly used algorithm for this. There's a number of different libraries that let you do this. I'm going to be using one called Markovify. So let's get started. So I'm going to make a new, this is all still in Python, so I'm going to make a new Python notebook. And I've got my original novel, my avocado novel that I did right here. I'm going to make a new one now to be my new novel. I'm going to call this recipes. I'll just call it recipes. We'll see. You'll see why. So I'm going to be doing a couple things in here. First of all, randomness is always good. I like to import random first, just to make sure it's working, and it seems to be working. I'm also going to be using a library called Markovify. If you don't already have Markovify installed, you can install it using your terminal. Where is it? Sort of here-ish for me. You can use a terminal if you've got your environment set up that way. If not, if you want to run it from inside a notebook, you can do Perl install, pip install Markovify like that. Markov is the root word, and then Markovify is you're going to be applying a Markov chain algorithm to some text. So that's going to give us this if we want to install it like that. Of course, I already have it installed. If you don't, then you'll see something different. In fact, maybe I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'll uninstall it from this method, and oh, I can't say yes. I forgot how to do that. There's a way you can say yes before you do it. It doesn't matter really. That was just a demo, so I do want to have it. Yeah, basically it's annoying to try to install it there. Oh, you know what? It's waiting for input. It's waiting. My notebook here. Sometimes this happens. It's waiting for me to say yes, and I can't remember how to say yes from a notebook. So I'm actually going to have to kill this notebook and start over again. All right. So I don't need either of those. I just use the stop button there to cancel that process, and now I don't need it. I do, however, need Markovify. And there we go. Great. So Markovify is publicly, it's software. It's in GitHub. So if you want to see how to use it, you can Google it or DuckDuckGo it. And this is it right here. And the instructions for how to use it are pretty clear, and they're explained in the GitHub repository on the front page. And so really, if you already have your text downloaded, you can just kind of copy and paste and then change out some variables to what you're doing here. So I've got my text in this folder called NNGM for NanoGenmo. I've got two text sources here. I've got a recipe book, which is called 52 Sunday Dinners by Elizabeth O. Hiller. It was published in 1913. And then I have here the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. So I'm going to make some text that sounds like it was both. Like I'm going to combine these two. But just to make sure that my paths and things are working as I think they are, I'm going to try to make just use them one at a time and make sure that they're actually doing what I expect. So I'm going to take a look at the sample code here. First of all, we have to import the novel into our code, and it's with this bit right here. This is that line that I always forget how to do, so I have to copy and paste. It's okay if you do too. The path to my corpus, because everything's in the same folder, the name of the file is the path to it. So marks.txt is what my Communist Manifesto is called. So I can type that in, I can run this code, and just to make sure that it actually got that, I can take a look at the text variable, and indeed it is the full text of the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Great, so I don't need that anymore, so I'll get rid of that. So let's see what the next thing is on GitHub. All right, so now it says I need to build the model. It says to pass the full text that I just read into the Markovify.text function. So let's see how that goes. Okay, pretty quick. I don't know how to test it yet, so we'll just, well, actually, we can probably just peek at that variable. And okay, great. So it's a Markovify object. That seems appropriate. We'll have to try to generate some text with it to see if it actually does what we expect. So, okay, now we are straight into it. It says for I in range 5, print text model makes sentence. Okay, great. So it looks like this text model is an object that has some functions attached to it, like make sentence. And this is going to, when it says for I in range 5, that's just an iterator that it's going to go through 5 times, and then it's going to make sentences 5 times. So let's see how it goes. Okay, there are a lot of being monopolized, i.e. from the bourgeoisie, not the only serious meant word of bourgeois society ought long ago to have not only of the numberless and indefensible chartered freedoms has set up any sectarian principles of their battles, lies not in the means of communication, draws all, even the most general phrases of the communist to the then undeveloped state, and has reduced the family. It's a sentimental veil. It has but a means to increase accumulated labor. Okay, that was one sentence. This is the Markovify model tries really hard to make complete sentences. It starts things with capital letters, ends them with punctuation. And as you can see, it did that. It said that was 5, but that looks like fewer than 5 to me. Well, that's, okay, so maybe that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4. Okay, well, we'll see. Maybe that's the best it could do. This Markovify also, I've noticed, tries really hard to avoid duplicate words and sentences, which sometimes might limit its output. But, you know, we'll see. Let's see if we can make it more than 5. Because certainly we're going to need more than 5 sentences for our novel. Let's try 15. Okay, so that's something. That's a bit more. Let's try 105. Okay, so it's getting there. Yeah, so that's starting to look like sort of like a novel. I'm not sure how many sentences I need for a novel, but it's plenty. So, okay, great. So let's see what else we can do. So I also have, oh yeah, you also do have the ability to make short sentences with this if you want to make them within a limit. So you can say no more than 140 characters. That's if you're going to be tweeting these things, obviously. Okay, well, let's try this with the other book I had there. That was recipes. Let's make sure that Markovify can deal with that as well. Okay, great. Rub vegetables through strainer, add water, cook 1 minute, dilute with tomato mixture slowly, stirring constantly, add chocolate mixture. Sounds delicious. That's right. Pass nuts and raisins through meat grinder twice, add crumbs and bacon fat until soft, then add remaining ½ cup sugar. I mean, okay, that actually sounds good. I don't know. They're drain dry and place in oven until they are. A lot of things you can do with this ebook or online at Gutenberg.org. Obviously, the Gutenberg header is still in this document, so maybe one thing I should do is trim that out to make this work a little bit more cleanly. But you know, you see the idea that basically these two things work. All right, so just to kind of make this a little bit faster, what I can do is, you know what, I'm just going to make. I've got too many things going here, so I'm going to go ahead and make my new file. I'm going to make a new thing. I'll call it combined.txt, and then what I'm going to do is open. I'm going to just copy and paste the full text of marks.txt and the full text of recipe.txt into this one here. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, got. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to Command A, Command C, and then Command V here. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take out the Gutenberg stuff, just to make it cleaner. And okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'll do the same thing with the recipe book. Open a notepad, that's fine. Command A, Command C. Then down here at the end, Command V, and I'll delete the license stuff. And I lost track of where I started this one, but it's not that important. Great, so now I've got a new file called combined.txt. It has both of them in it, but the Markov chain model doesn't care. It's not going to figure out, separate that out. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So at this point, again, it's Markovifying both of those sources together as though they were a single author, and it's going to try to generate new text that is statistically similar to this hybrid monstrosity that I just made, and it's going to do it sentence by sentence. So let's see how it looks. All right. All right, so now this will only be good if we find out that it's actually mixing these things together. And I'm actually seeing that this is not a lot of that. But we'll see. Rub the cut sides lightly with melted butter, sprinkle with finely chopped parsley. But does wage labor create any property for the benefit of the means of immersion in deep hot cotyledone? Melt 2 squares of chocolate grated. Yeah, it does seem like it's not really grabbing the two very much. It's mostly, I mean, there's one. So the bourgeoisie finds itself put back into a pie pan lined with paste, heap rhubarb well in center, leaving a shell on 1/8 inch thickness. They therefore endeavor, and that leaves no surplus wherewith to command the labor of others by means of a pound of either butter or lard, using 1/3 less. Prunes should not be as well as practical. It tells us in a saucepan, add a few grains cayenne. Mix and sift flour, soda, salt, and place 3/4 of a bourgeois revolution that is required of him. Okay, so it is actually mixing them up pretty well, and those are some pretty good, samples of that. It's just your mileage, it's going to vary. We don't know exactly what it's going to end up doing at any time. Okay, so remember our goal is 50,000 words, so we need to make sure that our text can generate something, long enough for that. So what I would like to do is I'm going to make a variable called novel like I did in the other one, and then I'm going to keep, instead of printing each of these sentences, I'm going to add them to that novel and see how long that is. So let's find out. So I'm going to make it appear again, just initiate it as a string. We'll just do it like this. And now instead of printing all these, I'm just going to say novel plus equals, delete my extra parentheses, and then just going to add these things to the novel. So I can still print it to see how it looks, and this should be the same output basically. What did I do wrong? It must be string, not none type. Okay. Can I do it like this? Yeah, there we go. Neat. It is kind of, I lost my line breaks, but that's okay. I'll get them back. So this seems to be basically working though, as far as the overall, the process. It's Markovifying it, it's sending it into this novel variable, and I can print this novel variable. Right now I'm interested in length, so I want to see how long this actually is. So I've got novel as a variable that I know about, so I can do things, I can learn about it here. I can ask, what is the length of this novel? So novel is a string right now, so when I ask for the length, it's going to give me the length in terms of characters. What I actually want is the number of words, and I can get a rough estimate of that if instead of asking for the length of the novel, I split this string into a list on the fly like that by just splitting it on the space character like that. So when I do that, I'm now checking for the length of this list that has been created on the fly when I split on that space character, and this should give me a rough idea of the word count, which is, as you see, 1,587. Not nearly enough, so what I need to do instead is, first of all, I'm going to stop printing this because I don't really need to see it. I'm going to make this number quite a bit larger. It was 1,500, right? So I need to go, I don't know, a lot more. Let's make this 605. See how that goes. Okay, 9,374, all right. Now, as I said earlier, Markovify is going to try to avoid doing duplicates, and there might be a point at which we run out of memory with this, and so I don't know. I haven't really looked too much into the code to see what it can do. So we know that we're about 1/5 of the way now with 9,000. So let's just kind of make this, multiply this by 5. 3,005 sentences. Let's see what happens. Taking its time. Okay, great. 45,192. We're getting really close. This is good. I wasn't sure if this would actually work or not. Let's add another 600 sentences, and that should probably do it. Let's see. 55,106. We're there. We made a novel. Great. Now, of course, it doesn't look good, as you saw earlier when I printed it. It's got all these, it's just sort of sticking everything on. We don't have any paragraph breaks. Every sentence just kind of continues as a thing, and it's actually all stuck together on one line. So let's add a few things to make this a bit more, novel-like. So instead of just adding each sentence onto that string, just like sentence, forever, instead I'm going to add, put a space, right? That's easy. That'll look a lot better. You notice it takes a few seconds now because I'm asking it to do so much. But now we actually have separation between these, so that's pretty good. You know what? It would be easy pretty much. It would be, we can do the same thing what we did before with the random thing. So I'll just say, I'll roll the dice random. I don't know, this won't be nearly as complicated because the sentences are already there. I'll pick from 0 and 100 again. And then I'll say, well, actually, I'll do this after the sentence just to make sure. just keep it all together a little bit better. So now I'm going to say, again, I'm picking a number between 0 and 100, and so this lets me pick a percentage of the time that I want something to happen. Let's say, if r is less than 8, 6, and in that case, I'm going to stick on a couple of line breaks, so it actually looks like paragraphs. Oops, those are not ends. Okay, I think that's right, so let's see. Running there, okay, and let's print it and see how it looks. Hey, all right, great. Starting to look pretty good. All right, so this, by the way, this is just previewing it here, but at least I know that this is a complete novel. I'm going to do another video to show you how to like save a file and then actually generate it as a PDF, because that's going to be that's also part of the expectation for NNGM. So that'll be another video. But for now, I've got 2 novels. I made one called that was based on repeating the word avocado. I made one here that's based on using Markovify, and I think it's pretty good. Let's read a little bit more from this one as we finish out. So let's find a good starting. Let's start at the beginning. All right, now pointing out that their mode of production itself, so the disappearance of class antagonisms, we shall have an association in which they were burst asunder. Rich chocolate cake, 1/2 cup boiling water, spread with soft water, sprinkle lightly with a cleaver, serve in hot oven and bake 15 minutes in a warm place. Dilute 4 tablespoons butter, 3 or 4 minutes, add beef broth, which was previously strained, in all theoretical justification, and on its trial each time ended either in a well-greased quart baking dish. Add 1 cup white sauce, sprinkle with salt and pepper, moisten with a slotted spoon until very light, turn them so that they desire to introduce in substitution for a family of 6 persons. Okay, so again, it's still a lot more cooking than Marxism, but that's okay. You can see a little bit of it's got a Marxist flavor to it. Actually, one thing I might want to see how maybe this will be a tweak. I can see how long the Communist Manifesto was compared to this recipe book. I should probably make them about the same length as far as the input text, so that their output text is more or less balanced between the two. It could also be that there just aren't that many words that are in common between them, so it's kind of hard for the algorithm to jump between one and the other. But in any case, I think it works pretty well. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching.